Today, we're going to be taking a look at a GMT watch from AliExpress. Now, it's powered by the Seiko NH34 movement, and it's priced at under $100. Wait a second, under $100? Is that right? Hello and welcome to Infinite Chronos. Now, as I mentioned, we will be looking at a GMT watch powered by the Seiko NH34 movement. It is on AliExpress and it is part of the Pagani Design official store. And it is under $100. Now, you have to ask yourself, what are you getting for under $100? Well, that is what we are going to find out. And here it is, the Pagani Design PD1758. This is the world timer from Pagani Design. You can pick this up on AliExpress for approximately $92 US, and there is several different variations of bracelet and dial that you can get. There's also a PVD option that comes on the oyster style bracelet only. They do have a cream color dial that has a blue bezel insert. They also have a world map dial, which I don't really like at all because it makes it very difficult to read the time or anything on the watch. But either way, you may choose whichever one you like. But I will leave a link in the description below so that you can go check these out and pick one of these up if you really would like to. Let's talk about the dimensions of this watch. This is a 40 millimeter case with a 50 millimeter lug to lug. So 40 millimeters around here and 50 millimeters lug to lug from here to here. Now it sits really well on the wrist. It does not seem to overhang or, be uncomfortable or too big or too bulky. So I really do like the size of the case and the lug to lug. Now there is a 20 millimeter lug width. So from, basically here to here, it's 20 millimeters. It does taper down on the bracelet to approximately 18 millimeters at the clasp. It is 13 millimeters thick, and it weighs approximately 150 grams. Now, this does not seem to weigh a whole lot on my wrist, so when I'm wearing this, it's not very noticeable at all. So that's really a nice thing. It weighs considerably less than my Seiko 5 Landshark, which seems to weigh a whole lot. It does have a sapphire crystal with some AR undercoating, which is kind of nice. And if you turn it in the light enough, you can kind of see it a little bit. And it does have a 2.5 magnification Cyclops over the date window. You can see right there, it is positioned really well over that date window. You can make that out with no trouble at all. It does have 100 meters of water resistance, and there is an exhibition case back that they have here. I'm not sure why they chose to put an exhibition case back. There's no decoration on the rotor. There's nothing on, as far as like any blued screws. There's nothing really that exciting about it. It's just a plain movement right out of the box. So I'm not sure why they did that, but they did. Anyway, it does have a signed crown, which is nice. And it is a screw down crown, which is also really good. It does have a 120 click unidirectional bezel, so it only goes one way. And on most GMTs, you will find that they are bidirectional, so it'll go forwards and backwards. But for whatever reason, Pagani Design just used a unidirectional bezel instead of a bidirectional bezel. But again, for the price that you're paying for something like this, you're not, your money's spread a little bit on the thin side. But it's a good watch either way. Let's go ahead and let's talk about the actual movement that is inside of this watch. So this is a Seiko NH34. This is their GMT movement. It's a 4-hander essentially. So this was released back in the summer of 2022. It is basically 24 joules. It has 21,600 beats per hour, so it's approximately 3 hertz, and it has about a 40-hour power reserve on this, so you can get away for almost 2 days without having to wind it, but then you'll have to wind it up after that. It does have hacking and hand winding, And it does have an accuracy from the factory, which they state is plus 40 to minus 20 seconds a day, which is a huge, huge gap in my opinion. I did run it on my time grapher, and I found that it runs about plus to minus 13 seconds a day, which is a lot better than the plus 40, minus 20 that they're stating. So I think there's a little bit of discrepancy there. So let's talk about how you set this watch and so forth. So this works pretty much like any other Seiko NH line. You unscrew the crown. That'll be your first position. You hear it pop out. You can wind the watch that way. Second position, let's see. Second position actually will change the GMT hand. If you roll it forward, it'll move the GMT hand forward. Now, if you roll the crown backwards, that will adjust the date, as you see right here. So, and then your third position, which you're going to pull out, that will actually stop the second hand. That's the hacking, and it will allow you to set the time as well. You'll also notice as you're setting the time that the GMT hand is moving along with it, as it should. So now what we'll do is we will go ahead and we will take a look at a couple of different lume shots, and then we will continue on. So here you have the Pagani on the right hand side with the BGW9, and on the left you'll see the Seiko with the Lume Bright. Now at the start of the 20-minute test, both of these look really good and solid, but at the end of the 20-minute test, they're not looking quite as good as they could. So I think the Pagani could use an extra few coats of the BGW9 to improve the lume. The bracelet is a Jubilee style that you see here. That also comes in an oyster, and it feels really nice on the wrist. Very solid. It's a very solid bracelet, and it uses screwed-in pins versus the standard tap-in pins or the pin-in collar, which is nice. You have your security fold-over clasp, and then, of course, the clasp itself is milled versus being pressed, which is really good. That's kind of upgrading as far as I'm concerned. And you have about 3 levels of micro adjust. Now, it's trying to mimic kind of like the Easy Link system that Rolex uses, but this one can be a little bit tricky to use, so just be kind of careful when you're using it. It may take a little more effort to use. Now, what I liked about this watch was, of course, the NH34 movement for $92. I mean, you just can't beat that. It's a very rock-solid movement, and it's just the best thing you can get out there. And the crown is really good. Very big and very easy to manipulate, very easy to set time with. Now, some of the things I didn't like, of course, were the GMT bezel. The city codes and the numbers are really hard to read. They really are very crowded in there. I think what they probably should have done is put the 24 hours markers on the chapter ring. That would have been a really good thing to do. And then, of course, put the cities on the outside of the ring. And then maybe the GMT hand should have been a different color so that it stands out a little bit more and is easier to read. Well, there you have it. The Pagani Design PD 1758 GMT watch. Is it a good watch? For under $100, I think it's a pretty darn good watch. You might have a different opinion. I'd like to hear what you think. Please leave a comment below and let me know what you think. And while you're at it, why don't you leave a like and subscribe for more content? Thanks so much for watching.